Hello again, everybody. So, once again, I'm missing my class. Missing in person. Hopefully by this point I'm back in class and being able to work with the kids. But I'm like, do I sound that awkward when I first start? Man, I need to work on that. But anyway, something I'm thinking about for my normal classes. Let's talk about dividing with real numbers. We're going to be using the video that we talked about earlier with multiplicative inverse. So if you haven't watched that video yet, please do. We're going to be dividing with real numbers. Let's talk about the signs. If you have seen this video, or if you're looking at this video, hopefully you've watched the multiplying with real numbers and the properties of the signs. But I'll go back through it. If you are multiplying a positive and a positive, you will end up with a positive. If you're multiplying with a positive, or dividing a positive and a negative, it will be negative. No matter what order it is, whether it's negative and positive, if you have 1 and 1, it's going to be negative. Now, negative divided by a negative, it's going to be a positive. So, same rules as multiplication, and you get the same outcomes with your positive and negatives. Hopefully that helps you. So once again, something else, if the signs are the same, you will end up with a positive number. So here's another one, negative, negative, there's your positive. So if it's 1 and 1, you have a negative, and that's your only time. So we're going to talk about multiplicative inverse. Hopefully our goal with these is, I'm going to show that we can do both. We can divide by just the number, or we can multiply by the inverse and get the same answer. So if you're going through these, hopefully you can try these by yourself first and get your answers, and then compare yours to mine. I have a negative 16 divided by 4. This one's fairly simple with the division. 16 divided by 4 is 4. But remember, we will have a negative 4. All right? So our answer for this would be negative 4. But if I did this, negative 16 multiplied by, and if you remember, the inverse is supposed to make 1. If I multiply by 1 over 4, because 4 times 1 over 4 would equal 1, and that's how I can use this. So negative 16 times 1/4, 1 over 4 would still be negative 4. You can use either one of these in a calculator and it would still work. This is helpful, very helpful later on in some of the higher maths, using the inverse property and flipping that and multiplication and instead of division. So looking at this one here, we have negative 20 divided by negative 5 over 3. Now, once again, you could put that into your calculator, and hopefully you got negative, and so negative, negative would be a positive. Hopefully you got a positive 12. Now, if we were to do the multiplicative inverse, so I want this to be multiplication instead, negative 20 multiplied by, now we need to use the inverse of this. It would be a negative 3 over 5. This would also be 12. Okay? So, same thing for this last example. You have negative 64 divided by negative 4. So, negative 64 divided by 4, well, negative 4, you're going to have, so it's a negative divided by a negative, you're going to have a positive 16. Okay? Now, once again, using this same inverse with multiplicative inverse, if I want to use multiplication instead of division, hopefully you understand, because if you haven't paid attention, 4 is actually right up here. So it's going to be the same. It's going to be negative 1 over 4, and you would multiply instead of divide. You get the same answer. So hopefully you're being able to understand the multiplicative inverse or dividing with real numbers. You can do either one. This tool will be helpful more later on, and it's really helpful with some of the fractions. Instead of dividing with the fraction, you can multiply with the inverse. That's it for this video. Hopefully that made sense, and hopefully you can be able to do some more practice problems soon.